Look at this. A fish disguised as floating seaweed. A shark whose jaws explode out of its face. A creature so transparent it almost disappears into the ocean itself. And a microscopic animal that has survived the vacuum of space. If these looked like AI-generated monsters, you wouldn't be alone. Because some of the creatures you're about to see were so strange, so unbelievable, that scientists initially struggled to understand what they were looking at. Not because they were dangerous. Not because they were gigantic. But because they seemed to break the rules of life itself. Some can become nearly invisible. Some survived evolutionary paths that seem impossible. And some look more like creatures from another planet than animals living on Earth. Yet every one of them is real. Right now, they are hiding in deep oceans, remote forests, and forgotten corners of our planet. Today, we're counting down 10 creatures so unreal. Scientists thought they were fake. And trust me, the creature at number 1 looks less believable than anything Hollywood has ever imagined. 10. Leafy sea dragon. At first glance, this does not look like an animal. It looks like a loose piece of seaweed, drifting gently through the water. A torn leaf. A floating plant. A fragile fragment of the ocean floor. But look closer. Hidden inside those leaf-like shapes is a fish. This is the leafy sea dragon. And it may be one of the most beautiful camouflage artists on Earth. Found in the cool coastal waters of southern and western Australia, the leafy sea dragon is related to seahorses. But unlike a seahorse, this creature seems to have been designed by the ocean itself. Its body is covered with long, delicate, leaf-like appendages. They do not help it swim. They do not help it attack. They exist for one reason: to make the animal disappear. As ocean currents move through seaweed beds, the leafy sea dragon sways with them. Slowly, gently, almost lazily. To a predator, it is not a fish. It is just another piece of floating kelp. And that is what makes it so unreal. Most animals survive by running, biting, hiding, or fighting. But the leafy sea dragon survives by becoming part of the scenery. Its tiny fins are almost transparent. Its movement is slow and ghost-like. Its body shape breaks every expectation of what a fish should be. If you saw it in a fantasy painting, you might think the artist had gone too far. But this creature is real. And perhaps the strangest thing is this. The leafy sea dragon is not trying to look powerful. It is not trying to intimidate anything. It survives through fragility. Through stillness. Through the art of being overlooked. In a world where survival often belongs to the fastest and strongest, this living piece of seaweed reminds us that sometimes, the best way to stay alive, is to become impossible to notice. 9. Glass squid. In the open ocean, there is nowhere to hide. No coral reef. No thick forest. No cave. No rocks. Just endless blue darkness above, and endless blackness below. So how does a soft-bodied creature survive in a world where predators can attack from every direction? For the glass squid, the answer is almost impossible to believe. It becomes nearly invisible. This is the glass squid. A creature so transparent, you can sometimes see straight through its body. Its organs appear suspended inside it. Its outline almost vanishes in the water. And under the right light, it looks less like an animal, and more like a ghost made of liquid crystal. Glass squid live in the open waters of the ocean, including the mysterious twilight zone, where sunlight fades and strange predators patrol the dark. Out there, being colorful can be deadly. A shadow can give you away. A silhouette can become a death sentence. So the glass squid evolved a different strategy. Transparency. Instead of hiding behind objects, it hides inside the water itself. But that is not its only impossible trick. Many glass squid contain ammonium inside their bodies, a chemical lighter than seawater. This helps them float with very little effort. Imagine a creature that does not need to constantly swim to stay in place. A living balloon drifting through the deep. It moves slowly. It watches. It waits. And because its body is so clear, predators looking from below may see almost nothing at all. Only the eyes and digestive organs remain more visible. And in the deep sea, even that small detail can be dangerous. So many transparent animals have evolved ways to reduce reflections, hide their outlines, or turn their bodies into optical illusions. The glass squid is not just strange. It is a reminder that in the deep ocean, survival often means becoming a magic trick. One moment it is there. The next, it is gone. 8. Saola. Some creatures look unreal because of their appearance. Others feel unreal because of how rarely humans have seen them. The saola belongs to the second kind. It is so elusive, so rarely photographed, so hidden in the mountain forests of Vietnam and Laos, that it has earned one of the most mysterious nicknames in the animal kingdom. The Asian unicorn. The saola was first documented by scientists in 1992. Think about that. In the modern age, after satellites, after global wildlife surveys, after humans had mapped so much of the planet, science still discovered a large mammal that had remained unknown to the outside world. Not a tiny insect. Not a microscopic organism. A large forest-dwelling animal with long, straight horns and a face marked with pale, ghostly patterns. When researchers first saw its skull in a hunter's home, they knew immediately that something extraordinary had been found. The saola looked like a creature from an ancient legend. Elegant. Quiet. Almost sacred. Its two horns rise parallel from its head. Its dark body blends into the shadowy forest. And its white facial markings give it an expression that feels strangely calm. Almost otherworldly. But the real mystery is not what the saola looks like. It is how little we know about it. Very few people have ever seen a living saola in the wild. Camera traps have captured only rare glimpses. A body moving through trees. A pair of horns in the mist. A shape disappearing before anyone can truly understand it. No zoo has successfully kept the species for long. No large population is known. And scientists fear that only a very small number may remain. The saola is not a monster. It is not dangerous. It does not have venom, armor, or terrifying jaws. But it may be one of the most haunting animals on Earth, because it feels like a secret nature almost refused to reveal. Somewhere in the Annamite Mountains, inside dense forests few people will ever enter, the Asian unicorn may still be moving silently through the green darkness. And if it disappears, many humans will never have seen it alive. 7. Lamprey. Now we move from beauty to nightmare. This creature looks like something pulled from a prehistoric horror film. A long, eel-like body. No jaws. No normal mouth. Just a circular suction disc lined with rows of sharp, rasping teeth. This is the lamprey. And it has existed in some form for hundreds of millions of years. Before humans. Before mammals. Before many of the animals we know today. Lampreys are ancient survivors. But what makes them so disturbing is not just their age. It is how they feed. A parasitic lamprey attaches itself to another fish using that terrifying round mouth. Then it uses its tooth-like structures and tongue to scrape through the skin. Once it opens a wound, it feeds on blood and body fluids. And the victim may continue swimming while this is happening. That is what makes the lamprey so unforgettable. It does not chase like a shark. It does not strike like a snake. It clings. Like a living wound. In some places, especially where sea lampreys became invasive, they caused serious damage to fish populations. Salmon, trout, other valuable species. A creature that looks almost primitive, became a modern ecological problem. But lampreys are not simply villains. They are also biological time capsules. Their strange bodies help scientists understand early vertebrate evolution. They show us a version of life from an older world. A world before jaws became common. A world where survival took forms that now feel alien. And that is the strange truth about the lamprey. It looks like a monster? Because it comes from a time when life itself looked much more monstrous. When it opens its mouth, you are not just looking at teeth. You are looking back into deep evolutionary history. 6. Goblin shark. If you were designing a fake deep-sea monster, you might give it pale skin, a long blade-like snout, tiny eyes, needle-shaped teeth, and a jaw that shoots out of its face. But nature already made that animal. This is the goblin shark. And it may be one of the strangest sharks alive. For years, most people only knew goblin sharks from dead specimens pulled up from deep water. That made them look even more unreal. Soft, pinkish, distorted, almost like a failed experiment. But the living animal is even more fascinating. The goblin shark lives in the deep ocean, far below the sunlight, where pressure is enormous and food can be scarce. Its long snout is packed with sensory organs that help it detect prey in darkness. But the true nightmare is its mouth. Most sharks bite by lunging forward. The goblin shark does something far stranger. Its jaws can launch outward. In a sudden strike, the mouth shoots forward from beneath the snout, extending toward prey like a spring-loaded trap. For a split second, the shark's face seems to transform. One moment it looks strange but still recognizable. The next moment, its jaws are reaching out like something from an alien movie. This is why goblin sharks feel so unreal. They do not just look strange. They move in a way that feels wrong. Like the rules of anatomy have been broken. But in the deep sea, this bizarre design makes sense. The goblin shark is not built for high-speed chasing. It is built for ambush. For drifting slowly. For detecting life in darkness. And when prey comes close enough, its jaws do the work. The goblin shark has sometimes been called a living fossil because its lineage reaches far back into ancient shark history. It is a reminder that the deep ocean does not follow our expectations. Down there? Evolution does not need to look beautiful. It only needs to work. 5. Axolotl. This creature looks cute. Almost too cute. A smiling face. Soft pink skin. Feathery gills waving from the sides of its head. At first glance, the axolotl looks like a cartoon dragon that never grew up. But beneath that gentle appearance is one of the most astonishing biological abilities on Earth. The axolotl can regenerate parts of its body. Not just heal. Regenerate. A lost limb can grow back. Injured tissue can repair. Scientists study axolotls because they can restore complex structures in ways most vertebrates simply cannot. And that is what makes this animal so unreal. Most creatures scar when they are seriously injured. Humans scar. Mammals scar. The body closes the wound and moves on. But the axolotl can rebuild. It can form new tissue, new bone, new nerves, new muscle. Like the body still remembers a construction plan that most animals lost long ago. Even more unusual? The axolotl keeps many juvenile features throughout its life. Unlike most amphibians that transform dramatically as they grow, axolotls usually remain aquatic, keeping their external gills and youthful form. It is as if the animal refuses to finish becoming an adult. A creature frozen between childhood and maturity. But the story of the axolotl is also tragic. In the wild, it is found only in a small remaining habitat system around Xochimilco, near Mexico City. Pollution, urban development, invasive fish. All of these have pushed the wild axolotl dangerously close to disappearing. Here is the strange contradiction. Millions of axolotls may exist in laboratories and aquariums around the world, but the wild creature that inspired so much scientific wonder is barely hanging on. So the axolotl is not just an unreal animal. It is a living question. If a creature can teach us how bodies might one day heal in extraordinary ways, can humans protect the fragile home where that creature came from? 4. Wobbegong shark. At first, you may not even see it. The reef looks normal. Rocks, sand, coral, shadows. Then one of those shadows opens its mouth. This is the wobbegong shark. A shark that does not need to chase prey. Because prey often comes to it. Wobbegongs are sometimes called carpet sharks, and one look at them explains why. Their bodies are flattened. Their patterns blend into the seafloor. And around their mouths hang fleshy skin flaps that look like algae, coral, or drifting sea growth. From above, a wobbegong can look less like an animal, and more like part of the reef. This is not beauty in the normal sense. This is weaponized invisibility. The wobbegong lies motionless. It waits. A fish swims too close. A crustacean wanders by. Something makes one tiny mistake. Then the shark explodes into motion. Its jaws snap open. Water rushes in, the prey vanishes. Unlike the image many people have of sharks constantly swimming through open water, wobbegongs are ambush predators. They are patient, still, hidden. And that makes them more unsettling. A predator you can see coming is frightening. A predator you do not realize is there is worse. Some wobbegongs can even take surprisingly large prey, including other sharks. That detail changes how you see them. This is not a lazy fish resting on the bottom. It is a trap. A living rug with teeth. And once you understand that, every patch of reef starts to look suspicious. 3. Tardigrade. This may be the least terrifying creature on the list. It is microscopic. Slow, moving. Rounded. Almost cute. Under a microscope, it looks like a tiny bear in a spacesuit. That is why people call it the water bear. But do not let its size fool you. The tardigrade may be one of the toughest animals ever discovered. When conditions become too extreme, tardigrades can enter a state of suspended animation. Their bodies dry out. Their metabolism drops dramatically. They curl into a form called a ton. And in that state, they can survive things that should be impossible. Extreme cold, extreme heat, dehydration, radiation, high pressure, low pressure, even exposure to the vacuum of space. Tardigrades have been used in space experiments because scientists want to understand how any animal can tolerate such brutal conditions. For humans, the vacuum of space is deadly. For most animals, radiation damages cells beyond repair. But some tardigrades can endure conditions that seem more appropriate for science fiction than biology. And the strangest thing is this. They are not rare monsters living only in alien places. Tardigrades can be found in moss, soil, freshwater, oceans, mountains, and polar regions. There may be water bears living in ordinary patches of moss that people walk past every day. That is what makes them so mind-bending. The toughest animal on Earth might not be a giant predator. Not a shark. Not a bear. Not a crocodile. But a microscopic creature smaller than a grain of sand. A creature that can dry into almost nothing. Wait. and come back when water returns. If aliens were searching for the most durable animal on Earth, they might not choose humans. They might choose this. 2. Bloody belly comb jelly. Deep in the ocean, red becomes almost invisible. That single fact explains one of the strangest creatures ever found in the darkness. This is the bloody belly comb jelly, and it looks like a living jewel drifting through outer space. Its body shimmers with rainbow-like bands. Tiny hair, like cilia, beat along its sides, scattering light into waves of color. Its transparent body seems delicate enough to vanish at any moment. But then you see the center. A deep crimson stomach. Bright red. Almost glowing. Almost impossible. At first, it looks like a warning sign. But in the deep sea, red light disappears quickly. To many animals living far below the surface, red appears dark. Almost black. And that gives the bloody belly comb jelly a brilliant survival trick. Many deep-sea creatures produce their own light. They glow. Flash. Spark. Signal. If the comb jelly eats glowing prey, that light could reveal it from the inside. Imagine swallowing something that turns your stomach into a lantern. That would be deadly in a world full of predators. So the bloody belly's red stomach may help hide the glow of its last meal. The belly is not just beautiful. It is camouflage. A dark curtain inside a transparent body. This is why the bloody belly comb jelly feels so unreal. Everything about it seems backward. It looks visible to us, but hidden in its world. It looks fragile, but it is a predator. It looks like a floating light show, but its best trick is darkness. The deep sea is full of creatures that challenge common sense. But the bloody belly comb jelly may be one of the most elegant examples of evolution solving a problem we would never even think to ask. How do you hide when your food glows inside you? 1. Dumbo octopus. If the deep sea had a mascot for impossible life, it might be this creature. A small octopus with soft fins on the sides of its head, floating through darkness like an underwater ghost. This is the Dumbo octopus. And yes, it is named after the flying elephant because those ear-like fins look almost too charming to be real. But do not let the cute appearance fool you. The Dumbo octopus lives in one of the most extreme habitats on Earth. Far below the surface. In cold darkness. Under crushing pressure. In a world where sunlight never reaches. Most animals we know would be destroyed by that environment. But the Dumbo octopus drifts through it with quiet grace. It does not look like a predator from a nightmare. It looks like something from a dream. Its body is soft and rounded. Its arms are webbed. Its fins flap gently, helping it move through the water in a way that looks almost like flying. Unlike the aggressive image many people have of octopuses squeezing through reefs or changing colors in shallow seas, the Dumbo octopus feels different. Slower. Softer. More alien. It is not built for speed. It is built for life in darkness. And that is what makes it so powerful as number 1. Many creatures on this list look frightening. The lamprey. The goblin shark. The wobbegong. But the Dumbo octopus is unreal in a different way. It shows that the deepest parts of the ocean do not only create monsters. They also create wonders. Creatures so delicate, so strange, so perfectly adapted to a hidden world, that they seem impossible until you see them moving with your own eyes. The Dumbo octopus reminds us that Earth still contains places that feel more mysterious than space. Because somewhere far below the waves, in darkness humans rarely enter, a small ghost-like octopus is floating silently through the deep, looking less like an animal, and more like a secret the ocean chose to keep. From sea dragons disguised as drifting kelp, to transparent squid floating through the twilight zone, to sharks with jaws that launch from their faces, these creatures prove something extraordinary. Nature does not always create life that looks familiar. Sometimes, it creates life that looks impossible. Some animals survive by disappearing. Some survive by becoming nightmares. Some survive by rebuilding their own bodies, and some survive in places so extreme that they seem closer to alien worlds than Earth. But every creature in this countdown is real. Not imagined. Not generated. Not fake. Real. And perhaps the most amazing part is this: we have still explored only a small fraction of the deep ocean. There may be creatures stranger than all of these, still waiting in the dark. If you enjoyed this journey into nature's most unbelievable creations, subscribe to CurioVerse Wild for more strange, rare, and beautiful wonders from around the world. Because no matter how unreal life on Earth may seem, nature always has something even more impossible waiting to be discovered.